Okay. And we're back. All right. So when we have a look at, want to make sure that you guys get some of the information you have. So there is an event info form. So if you go into that event info form, you'll have a chance to win. We're giving away, I believe, an Apple Watch and some other fantastic prizes. So the link to that is actually included right in here. So what I can do is I will copy and paste that into the chat for you so that you guys can have access to that through the chat. As well, I've included the link for the free application. So this is where you can actually get a free application, apply to one program within the college, and they'll waive that $90 application fee. So instructions on how to do that are going to actually take place if you click on that link there. And again, I will post that into the chat later on so that you can have that. So some of you might ask why the Ag Business Diploma? And really what we're asking is, do you have that passion for agriculture? Do you want to know how to manage a business? Because really ag, it gives you the best of both worlds. So it lets you get that taste of that production and we get a ton of students who actually don't have a lot of maybe production experience, and they're not even coming from a farm operation. And we welcome those students because they come in with fresh eyes. And at the same time, we have a lot of students who have grown up on the farm and maybe have plans to return to the family farm in some capacity. So really, you come to the college to get your business content as well as increase your ag knowledge. So if you've heard of their home away from home, Lakeland College, we call it the farm away from the farm. So here you are surrounded by pretty much all of the land that touches the college is actually owned by the college. We've had some really good relationships with people who have helped us to acquire some extra land. So our crop technology program would actually run the grain aspect of things, and our animal science technology, we have an active dairy here on the barn where we actually milk cows right on campus. We have an equine program. So we really, when you come here, you're not going to feel like you're in an urban college setting. You're going to feel very much like you're in a rural college setting. So if you feel best when you have some open fields to your back or like to go out and hang out with some cows for a while, there's definitely opportunities to do that. So within our program currently, we have 3 majors, and that would be crop technology, livestock, and marketing. So you can choose, and you do get some different courses within each one of these, and we'll go through and have a look at what are the core courses that everybody gets an opportunity to take. And these would be your core business courses we would look at. So you're going to take courses in accounting. You're going to take courses specifically in farm finance. So you're going to learn a little bit what's different about running a farm operation, how there's some certain tax benefits that come with running a farm operations that other entities don't have. Lending and credit is a big part of successfully running a farm operation. So we'll talk managing risk is another one that comes up in that course. You'll get to take a course called Ag Simulations. So if any of you were actually able to get into that with Cole earlier, very, very cool course where you actually run a real farm operation that is has all sorts of events happening. So it's a mixed farm operation, so you get some exposure to the grain as well as to the cattle side of things. And you have events take place on your farm, such as a higher open rate than you had wished for, or hail actually hits your crops, and do you have crop insurance to cover that off? So it's kind of a fun course that our students, and quite unique to Lakeland. You'll take a course in economics because, of course, that's important if you're going to function in the world and be successful in the world of agriculture. Economics definitely comes into play. You'll take a communications course, which is polishing up your writing as well as, the online communications that you would do. You'll have a taxation and succession planning course, an ag law and policy course, and then you'll have 2 courses within student managed enterprise, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on and what that looks like. So the Ag Business Diploma in Crop Technology is, this is our crop stream, that comes up from here. So they specialize and take courses in plant science and field crops. So you're specifically going to learn, it'll only be the students who have chosen the crop stream that actually get that course. You're going to get a course in soil science, and you're going to get a course in grain and oilseed marketing, and you're going to get a course in weed and insect management. So essentially what that means is in most of your semesters, you're going to have a course that's very focused on your program of choice and what you've looked at and choosing a stream in, as well as you get some exposure to fertility management courses. The livestock diploma, so this is you would get an agribusiness degree or diploma with a livestock stream. So they take courses specialized in applied livestock nutrition. So you're going to learn about how to build the most functional and effective nutrition plan for your livestock. You take a course in agronomy, so you're learning about the pasture lands and range and forage. Genetics of livestock is a course you're taking. So those students actually right now are writing a midterm. So that's why there isn't one of those livestock students here to join us today. So livestock production is another course you get where you learn about all sorts of different species of livestock, everything from raising turkeys to hogs to cattle. We also probably will add in a little bit of bison, as Lakeland College has recently acquired a bison herd, and that's something that we'll be teaching on campus as well. The livestock diploma also gets, the livestockers get that internet marketing and e-commerce. The last stream is our marketing stream. So this one is a little bit less about production and a little bit more about that marketing and promotion side. So we get a lot of students in this course who do have a really strong production background and are looking at being passionate about marketing in the agricultural industry. So you take a course called Strategic Marketing, Public Relations and Event Management. We're going to talk about that one a little bit later on. That one is also known as our Band in the Sand course. So that's a huge event that has been hosted by our students for the last several years. So it's looked a little different with our COVID restrictions, but we still managed to host an event for students last year and talk a little bit about what that looked like. The students also take internet marketing and e-commerce in their second year. And then because we want to make sure our students, even though they're taking the marketing, they also get some exposure to the livestock or crop side of things. So the students can elect to either take the agronomy and livestock production course, or they take the soil science and the fertility management course. So we've opened up that so our students get increased exposure to the production side as well. So those are our three streams that we have. So the bulk of your courses, you'll be with the same cohort, and then you'll break out into some of your specialized classes. And in some of those specialized classes, like agronomy, for example, you're going to actually be taking that with the animal science technology students. So you'll be in a group of students from another diploma. So it's actually a really cool way for you to meet more people and get to know more people on campus. Because really, Lakeland College, what makes it stand out is our campus life and the students within the ag school that you actually get to meet. Okay, so this is, if you've ever heard of it, this would be our public or special event and public relations course. So Band in the Sand is something that is hosted by our students. This is actually a picture from 2 years ago because Band in the Sand had to look a little bit different last year, but it's all hosted by our marketing students within that class. They choose, have a say in everything from what band is coming to attend to what is served there, what security looks like, and all of those things. So this was actually the year here that we had the Hunter brothers came and gave us a fantastic performance. And it was in behind the band here, you can see this mass of people. And I think there was something around 2,000 students that were actually there. So very cool program run by our students again, and gives you lots of opportunities to develop some leadership and management skills. So we're really much about leading learning. So we want to give you opportunities to have a hands-on experience as to what a real operation would look like. So you'll get that experience in our Ag Sim, our Ag Venture program, where you actually write a business plan. We'll talk about that a little bit later on too. So our students have would write a comprehensive business plan from start to finish. We have our advocacy groups, which are working in your third semester, where you actually get to represent something that is maybe misunderstood or understood in the world of agriculture. So it's tackling issues such as the role of women in agriculture, or could be talking about GMOs in our food are not always bad, or the use of antibiotics. So we have had a lot of really interesting topics and have some fantastic topics coming our way this year as well. In the past, we've actually competed in a case competition. We've gone down to the University of Lethbridge and have done very, very well in our competition there, as well as the University of Regina. We've gone to some competitions there. Again, those have been put on hold a little bit due to COVID, but I think we'll start seeing them resurface and we'll head back there. The last thing we do is a retail experience. So we allow our students actually to set up an online or a pop-up store. And we'll talk a little bit about more what that looks like in a moment. So advocacy project, this is a sample of an advocacy project we had last year. So our students are basically wanting to talk about what is sustainable agriculture. And we talk about balancing that off and the fact that farmers are very much stewards of land and want to provide high quality care to their animals. So what we're doing is we're having our students, they typically work in groups of 3 or 4, and they take one message that is needing to hit the public that's based on accurate information and scientific information and factual information that is, maybe coming from the producers who are doing this on a daily basis. So we have had students do everything from shoot a video. We had an animal handling video last year that we were actually able to share with Ag for Life, that they actually took into some of the classrooms, some of the K-12 classrooms to share that message. We've had infographics that were talking about the story of a hamburger, and it actually showed how the hamburger, if you broke it down into the bun, well, that's the wheat that's growing in the fields, and here's how wheat grows. And the beef, of course, is the cow that's grazing in the field, and this is where that comes from. And then the cheese on the cheeseburger is from the dairy cow, and we're giving some information regarding, how many liters of milk a dairy cow can produce. Because a lot of people who don't grow up on a farm, or who maybe had family who have farms, don't have that experience and exposure anymore. So we're looking at it just being a way to educate the public. Sorry, I'm just going to go into my lobby and grab one more person there. So we do have one of our students that's on with us today is working on our advocacy project. So we'll maybe get Kaylee to talk a little bit about at the end here when we ask her some questions as well. The case competition, this is something that we do in your 3rd semester, so it would be taking place right now. And essentially, we do case study as a part of in your 3rd semester, where you're learning about real businesses, real scenarios and real businesses, and you're having to identify what the problem is and help the organization come up with a solution. So 3 years ago, we went down to the Corvan Ray case competition at Lethbridge, University of Lethbridge and Lethbridge College. And we were actually lucky enough to have a team down there that placed 1st place. So it was a very exciting event. And the fact that it was an agribusiness case competition was what was really neat. What was also remarkable is that we actually were competing against the University of Saskatchewan, the University of Regina, as well as the University of Lethbridge students. So having our students come through and play so well was definitely an area of pride for us. And we would love to get back into this more once things open up. So we also have our students in that 1st semester, when we're doing case studies, we also do things like host a pop-up. So a pop-up is essentially a store that shows up and exists for a really short period of time. So our pop-up will arrive and maybe last for a weekend, typically is what we would do. So we hosted it at Spurs. So this would be our student center is what we have here, where we have our 30 on here. It was the 30th anniversary of the student managed farms is what we were celebrating. So the students actually had brought in some of this, we would call it swag. So things that have the Aggies brand and the Aggies logo on it. And we were actually kind of having a little bit of a competition to see what would sell the best. So the students have to choose a product. They have to market it, they have to merch it and see what goes well. So we had everything from golf balls with some tees to some hats. We had some coasters that were made with the brand of the Aggies in it. We had gloves, we had decks of cards, and actually a crib board that ended up being quite a good seller. So yeah, it's interesting to see what the students come up with. At the same time, our pop-up shop has often hosted some rustic furniture that we've sold on consignment for other people. So in the one that we hosted here at Spurs 2 years ago, we had, I'm trying to remember, we had, I believe, 17 or 18 outside vendors who brought their merch in for us to actually be able to sell it, as well as selling our own hoodies and things that are branded with our Aggies brand. How did we respond to COVID? So COVID really, the institution was very committed to allowing the students to continue having these experiences where they were planning events or hosting these sorts of things. So last year we were in a half in-person, half online format. So our Band in the Sand, which typically was the event that took place in the theater, in the, riding arena, became Band in the House. And we hosted some online musicians, and over a period of 4 weeks highlighted some local talent or some up and coming talent. That was actually really cool. So our students had the opportunity to host those sessions, and yeah, it was a really neat experience. So our hope is moving forward we can get back to the Band in the Sand, but not sure what that'll look like this next year. So keep your eyes peeled, and I'm sure that you'll see some information coming that way. Is that'll be happening in the January to the April semester. Our pop-up shop that I was just showing you that it typically happened at Spurs became the Aggies online store. So our students actually built a website and built an entire store that we launched and went live with, and were able to actually sell all of our Aggies gear on it. So quite an interesting experience for our students. And actually one of the students who did that is actually going on to actually, when she left here, her job now is to help companies set up websites. And that was in part from some of the experience she gained from running that online store. Another way that we changed when we were responding to COVID is we used to try to get our students out to different conferences and to go to different places to see how they do things, whether it's the farm show in Red Deer, or whether it's going up and visiting with, we visited with Northlands and prior to when they had actually moved things in Rogers Place, to hear how they market and to hear how they sell how they sell their seats out and how they market their organization. We had to focus more on having virtual guests that came in and talk. So we had people like Egg for Life came in and actually did a really good talk on advocacy, and we're actually welcoming them back this year. Dickerson Delarome, he's a kind of a local person. If you haven't heard of him, Google his videos. He's got some fantastic production videos that have some colorful language in them, but the message is always usually really good. He come in to teach our students about video production, linking to our advocacy projects. Think Shift Marketing is an agricultural marketing firm that came in and talked to us about marketing in agriculture and how to reach those farm operations, big and small, and what sort of mediums were they using. And what it really came down to was what everybody has in their pocket, which is their phone, and how important having that phone is for gaining access to people and making connections. We also have Myers, Norris, and Penny who come in and they did a risk management session as well as a succession planning session for us. So we have great contacts to industry that will get you in getting as much of that information direct from the industry as possible. Our Ag Biz students, we have excellent employment opportunities. We typically have our students get jobs and get jobs prior to graduation, and that they have a lot of different opportunities to choose from. Our students will go on to work in the areas of finance. So sometimes they work at a bank. We also in crop retail, in input retail, they become sales managers, they become small business owners, or they work in marketing. Really the benefit of the Ag Biz is you have that agricultural core as well as the business. So there just is lots of opportunities for you out there. You can stay an extra year and earn another diploma. So if you complete your Ag Biz diploma, you can get your animal science diploma or your crop tech diploma with just one more year of schooling. So that's what we call our double diploma program. As well, you can actually stay here at Lakeland and earn your degree. So we have an applied degree in agricultural technology here at Lakeland College. Agribusiness is actually offered at Olds as well. So they have you can get your degree by going down there. Our hope is that in the next little while that we are looking at potentially developing an agribusiness degree so that you would be able to do your full 4 years here with us at Lakeland. Other places you can get your agribusiness degree is we have a 2-for-2 transfer agreement with the University of Lethbridge and the University of Saskatchewan. So we see a fair number of our students head that direction as well. So what's next? So ideas into action. It's really exciting. In your second semester of your second year, you and one or two other people will actually create a business plan for an operation that could actually become a reality. Some people might be just thinking, oh, this would be an interesting thing. We've had students who have looked at launching mobile mental health therapy for farms, which is actually where the counselor would travel to the farms to like literally ride in the combine with the farmers and talk to them in their times where they need someone to talk to. All the way through to, we've had some in the last couple of years that have actually come to life. So last semester, we had some students actually do a business plan based on starting a dairy. And it was a dairy expansion out in Ontario. And we heard back from the students about probably 3 weeks ago that they actually moved forward with their business plan. They took it to the bank and they have actually expanded their dairy and bought this additional farm, which is really exciting when you see something they've done here at school in a class become reality. We've had other operations that have happened. We've had a goat farm, we've had a sheep farm, as well as a marketing company that have actually come through to actually becoming a reality. We've had students who, when they've done their presentation in the theater for their business plan, so you do a fully written business plan, and then at the very end you do a presentation that's basically highlighting a little bit of a pitch, like a Dragon's Den pitch. And in one of our presentations 2 years ago, one of the people in the audience actually approached the two young men that had written a business plan about using drones to actually manage cattle in a feedlot, and actually offered them the startup money they needed to get their business going. So that's kind of interesting how an idea that you take and develop, you could actually be something that becomes your reality and maybe your future. Another cool project that happened is a couple of years ago, we had our students, agribusiness students, work on a project called the Spurs Project. And what the Spurs Project was is that we had a student bar on campus, and it was a student center, I guess, that had been built with both the institution and the Students Association taking part. And what had happened is that the Students Association, I'm going to pull up this presentation so that you guys can see this. So this is, I want to show you what it looked like before. So that's what, this is what the student center looked like prior to us being able to change it. So the students basically came and said, we don't really like this. This is not the place that we necessarily want to hang out in. So the roof was white, the walls were lime green. Where we're looking at it from our position, there was a big bay of windows that were wide open for everybody to see in. So we told these students and challenged them and said, so write us a business plan on actually doing a renovation to the student center. And what we did is we ended up partnering with our interior design program here at Lakeland College, and the agribusiness students, it was a team of about 7 students, worked with interior design students, and we essentially hired our interior designers to design what they thought the student lounge could and the student center could actually look like. So here's what some of their ideas. So that would be from the same angle what you're seeing. That's what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like in the renderings that were given by the interior design crew. And the interior design crew did it as an assignment in their class as well. So we had 5 different groups give us 5 different concepts, and then we actually got to select one of the concepts to make into a reality. So there's what that angle looked like before. You can see the Christmas lights or the Christmas balls are still hanging from the ceiling. I think this is probably taken in May, maybe. We were a little slow in taking those down. And that's what it would look like from that angle. And then this is what this looked like. This was all closed off and the room would have been locked up. And this is what it ended up looking like when we opened everything up. We had a coffee bar set up here, and things were open and accessible to the students anytime they wanted to go in. It was their student center. So it becomes a place where they could have gone, and the coffee shop isn't running right now. It hasn't for the last couple of years, just with everything that has been going on with restrictions, but it was a place where students could go to study, and 100% of this concept was built by the students, and actually the Students Association was fantastic because they actually brought it to life, and that's very much the feeling and what the Student Center looks like now. So it's projects like that that make Lakeland just, yeah, it's different than other institutions because we listen to feedback we get from students and we actually make changes based on that, and we'll try to give them the opportunity. If they have an idea, we'll have to see if it's something we can actually help them to bring to life. So one of the students last year, one of their ideas were they really wanted to try to shoot a commercial that talked about what's great about Lakeland College and what makes agribusiness a program that you should consider. So this has never been viewed before by anyone but Cole, who is one of the other teachers in ag business, and myself. But I just want to share with you, this is the video that the students helped create with our marketing department here at Lakeland College promoting agribusiness.
Can't see it, Darla.
There you go.
So agribusiness is focused on providing experiential hands-on learning experiences for our students. Our students have the opportunity to host a 2,000-person event every year called Band in the Sand. It's an event that's typically hosted in our riding arena, 100% run by our students. Very exciting. We also have a pop-up shop that our students host and run the entire year, where our students bring in items to help promote our Aggies brand and our Aggies products. The online store is probably my favorite project that we've done this year. I had the opportunity to design the website with another student, help out in all aspects of the online store, and it was really exciting seeing all my work get launched and seen by the public. And it really helped me figure out what I want to do with my future after post-secondary. Our students get to have contact with the industry through the case competition, our advocacy projects, and our business plan projects. That's where they explore new and innovative agribusiness ideas, and they basically are out there striving to improve the overall image of the agricultural industry.
So about the business plan, we're talking with the industry and learning what we can from them. We're getting numbers from them, we're getting mentorships from them. And we're doing like marketing plans based on what we've learned from them. And we're creating financials also with well-created network.
And we have courses like an egg simulation course that lets you experience what it's really like to make those decisions on a farm. Our students lead egg business with a diploma. Many of them carry on to earn their degree. You can earn your degree here at Lakeland College or through another post-secondary. And several of them go right out into the workforce and begin a really successful and rewarding career.
I'm working on a business plan right now, which is really neat because in the future I want to open my own feed and tax store, and I have the resources here to build a complete business plan before I start school.
Basically, the amount of work that we've been able to put in and get out of the program is all students run here, and this entire program is learning how to lead and be the leader in the business school.
Our students are the future of agriculture, and you know what? The future's in really good hands.
So that was our video, which we were quite excited for to finally get launched. I hope everybody appreciates, I think what Cole and I remarked on when we were talking about it was how the Jarrett, who was one of our students, the fellow in the cowboy hat, and he had the rustler that was on his mask and how he looked exactly like the rustler. We thought that was actually kind of rather appropriate. That was pretty neat. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now and just come back to the chat, and I really want to let our students have a little bit of an opportunity to tell you about Lakeland, and then I will ask our guests if you're comfortable. Can you tell us where you're from? And you can just write it in the chat, or you could turn on your mic if you're comfortable. Okay, Elizabeth, you're from Strome, Alberta. Okay, cool. How far away is Strome from Lakeland? I don't even know. Ina's typing. Okay, but now we're to have south and west. There you go. That's really cool, Elizabeth. So I hope that when things open up a little bit, that's close enough that if anyone here wanted to come and check things out here at Lakeland College, we do things like a student for a day. So we've got really good safety protocols in to make sure our students are protected, give you a chance to actually see the campus and wrap your head around what it looks like. Okay, we have someone from Grace from Moose Jaw, so we get a lot of students from in that area. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask my students who are here. So I'm going to ask Kaylee and Jenna. I'll call on you, Kaylee, first, just because your name is coming up there. Tell us a little bit about like why you chose Lakeland and maybe what your favorite course has been so far.
I guess for me, I chose Lakeland because I knew there was smaller class sizes, and like it was like everybody was from an agriculture background, like for the majority, and so you have things in common with everybody. Like it's a very non-judgmental environment, and even the clubs, like they're really excellent with having a lot of activities and learning opportunities without a huge time commitment if you're worried about juggling grades in school plus like your extracurricular activities. So I think like that was the biggest, and like just having a really, I guess, hands-on learning experience and with kids who have the same mindset as me, being like from agriculture and having things in common. Because I mean, high school, I had no one that was like me with any interests like me. And I came here and everybody was the same. I guess as for my favorite courses, I think it would have to be the marketing or egg sales courses so far. They're extremely interesting and they actually pertain to real life scenarios. So I guess this year, in this semester in egg sales, we're having to build onto a project. So throughout the semester, we build on a project to make it bigger for a final hand in. And then it's specific to the job you want. So you get to pick a job that you might be interested in after school. And you base the entire project around that job. And so the project is based on the fact that you take your final product and basically you can help to use that when you're in that job. And so it was like, you got to think about it and got assistance from the instructor to be able to just understand how everything worked. And then in that job, like after schooling and that, if you run into that problem, you just look back onto this project that you did and your answer is there to solve your problem. And it helps that the instructor is really, really good for both of those courses. And like they give real life examples all the time and stories of their own past, and overall like just so easy to get along with all the time.
Thanks, Kaylee. That's awesome. Jenna, I'll let you go now. Jenna's our student who is our crop. She has a crops major.
I'd say the reason I chose Lakeland is because I came from a really small school. I only graduated with 3 other kids in my class. Wow. So I knew Lakeland had small class sizes, which was a really big thing for me. And also I knew a lot of other kids that had come to Lakeland and had a good experience. So that made it easy to choose to come here. And I would say my favorite course so far is probably Ag Sim, because we got to inherit a farm and actually get to make the decisions and see the consequences of those decisions. And probably a close second was the crop and field science course I took with Amy. it was just really interesting, and it gave a good overview of kind of the basics of crop production.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, so that's just from the perspective of our students, I think. Brianna, are you on the call yet?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, so do you want to just tell us why you chose Lakeland? Because you come through our crop technology program and then came into agribusiness, and the same thing, and then tell us a little bit about what your favorite course has been.
I sure can. So I chose Lakeland just like the other girls. It's a really small campus, and it's kind of like my home away from home. It's a small community, and I despise cities. So it was either here or Olds, and it was pretty easy for me to decide to come to Lakeland because it's hands-on, and you get a really good interaction with your teachers and your classmates since we're such a small campus. So you're not just like a number here, you're actually a person. And your teachers and instructors are always there to help you whenever you need. So it's really a really personalized experience. And then since I'm a double dip, I guess I have taken some of the crops classes and ag biz classes. So I'd have to say that one of my favorite classes was weed ID and disease management. It's a super helpful class if you're going to go into the agronomy side of agriculture. And it's something that you're going to use every day for the rest of your life. It's really hands-on and practical, and you just learn so much. And the teacher, he's amazing. He knows so much.
Cool.
And I'm really liking business and case analysis class for the experience because I'm currently one of the students that is working to work on the pop-up shop, and I'm really enjoying the experience so far and everything that it's teaching me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, Brianna. So yeah, so this year we further evolved what we're doing with our pop-up shop, and we're actually partnering with our bookstore here on campus to help us with the sales and distribution. So giving the students the same opportunity to get some items to come in to help promote our Aggies brand and have them see how those items sell and help promote things that need promotion and give our students that hands-on learning experience. So the other thing that's new that'll be coming up for next year, so this would be for anybody who is applying for the 2022 year, we actually have a practicum component that's actually we're going to be implementing this year, where in between your first and second year, you can actually do a practicum as a part of your summer employment, and it helps count towards some of your course load in your second year when you come back. So we've got more details on that for anybody who's interested. So. And now I'd open the floor for questions if there's anybody who has any questions about the program or about the campus or about what we do here at Lakeland that we would welcome. You can put your questions in the chat if you want, or you can turn on your mic. I'll leave it up to you. Okay, for the students, yeah. Did you live in residence? So we do have like an extensive residence here. So I think right now, I'll let those students answer that who's living in residence right now.
I think Kaylee's the only one currently living in residence. I lived in residence my first year. It's a good way if you don't know anyone from the Vermilion area or anyone that you're going to school in Vermilion. It's definitely probably the best way to meet a lot of people in a lot of programs in a really fast time. But if you're someone who likes organization and you like things your way and you're kind of a neat freak, I'd say, it's kind of a turnoff because it likes to get a little messy and there's a lot of things going on. So that's why I currently don't live there anymore, because it got a little too messy for me and it was a little too chaotic. So Kaylee can probably touch on that a little bit more since she's still living there.
Yeah, I lived in a regular dorm for my first year and shared a kitchen. And for me, because of the exactly what Brianna said, a little bit of the mess part, it wasn't stellar for me.
Yeah.
But I moved to a townhouse this year, and there's currently just 3 of us. And
Nice.
so they're really good. And it was they're not in the same program as me, but they are very nice. And I've made a whole bunch of new friends from different programs. The biggest reason for me for being on residence instead of off campus was the fact that I don't have to start my truck every day. I just walk to class. And even to just go to meetings for extracurricular, for the clubs, I just walk to whatever building or walk to the farm. And it's a good way to put more exercise into your day too. It's really easy to sit and just work through all your homework and schoolwork and not like get up and move. So if you do have to walk to class, like it's a bit of daily exercise, which I kind of need coming from like a farm where you walk 10,000 steps daily. So
that's a really good point, Kaylee. I never even thought about that. But yeah, the whole not having to start your vehicles is amazing. And so typically in your first year, you would be in one of the more dorms, which was what Brianna and Kaylee were talking about, where you're sharing a kitchen with more people. In your second year is typically when you get into the townhouse. So highly recommended as a way to meet people. And it's so convenient being right here on campus, for sure. Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions for us? It can be about, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for someone on the call, actually. I have a question for Carlos. He's from Mexico, if you didn't see that already. So what brought, or how did you find out about Lakeland all the way in Canada?
That's a great question. Carlos, yeah, if you want, you can type that into the chat, or if you're comfortable, you can turn your microphone on.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, this is a very young community. I'm the oldest in this meeting, sorry. I'm an agent in Mexico City, Student World. Okay. And we have several students interested mainly in equine science. So my question is about that. Because at the beginning, I think it's not available for international students, right?
Oh,
or you can.
Oh, our equine program is very, we've just expanded it. It became a part of the animal science technology program. So, and we've had a flood of applications that they do cap that enrollment. So it has a tendency to fill up quite quickly. So they will have a recorded session that if you look at the animal science technology session, if you went onto Lakeland's website, you'll be able to see a little bit more about that program. Yeah.
Okay, actually, do you have some Mexican or Latin American students there?
We do, yeah, we do. We actually have a couple of students from Mexico, and I believe a couple of them are in our interior design program. I don't think we have any in our agricultural sciences, or we don't have any in our agribusiness right now, but we do have, we had significantly more international students probably, I'm going to think 3 years ago, we would have had 8 international students in our agribusiness program. And in our whole School of Agriculture, we probably would have had somewhere between 30 and 35. So yeah, go ahead, Alan. Alan McMillan is our academic advisor. So yeah, go ahead.
We did have one international student from Mexico in our crop tech program at the beginning of the year. But for some medical issues, he had to return home for some treatments, but is planning to come back in September. So there is an avenue there for certainly international students, and we would welcome them. He was doing exceedingly well and fit in tremendously. So if you can encourage some of your compatriots to come join us in any of our programs, I'll throw my email into the chat box here, Carlos. And if you want to reach out to me for any questions, I would be more than glad to try to assist.
Thanks so much, Alan. Yeah, that's great.
Yes, I have already registered our first student, but in interior design. She has started, I think, in this September online.
Yeah, yes.
But for example, what happens with all the agribusiness students or farm students during the winter? They can't work or have practices on the farm?
I get what you're saying. So here, our students, so we have a 12,000 acre grain operation. So those students would be very busy in the fall when they come here. That's when our harvest is. So they would be busy. We just finished harvest up, I believe, last week. So September and October, they would be actually helping getting the harvest off. And then after that, they'll focus more on marketing and selling the grain and finding and then arranging for the hauling of the grain, Then they would be talking about planning for what they're going to plant next year, getting their soil testing done to get all of that in place. And then in the spring, that's when they would actually be deciding what's going to get planted where and focus on that. So in the winter, and then the animal science technology, they're a tough bunch because it might be -40 here, but we're still managing, we're calving out in March and April, or I guess February, March and April. So we have several different herds that we have. We have a commercial herd and a purebred herd and a research herd. So they work through the winter, and the dairy barn functions all through the winter as well. So yeah, the opportunity, it's very different than your weather in Mexico for sure. But yeah, we definitely keep trucking through that.
Also, I'm curious about the students looking for a part-time job, and that such a little community. What kind of jobs can they get? Yeah.
We do have some on campus. So we do have some on campus jobs, and international students can work up to 20 hours a week. And a lot of our international students do work 20 hours a week. So what they actually get into is we have like a McDonald's and Tim Hortons, and they often work in some of those retail sort of stores where it's typically in the food. That's often, but there is ample opportunity for employment here for the students. Yeah, and actually I see that Alan has put in our international support coordinator, Jill Applegate. She's fantastic, and she helps take care and answer student questions and is on the ground here making sure the students get access to what they need to when they get here.
Good, thank you. My last question is, I'm really interested to visit you next year. What time is better to visit Lakeland?
You should come in the middle of February, Carlos, so that you can experience what -40 feels like. Do you think?
Yes, of course.
You know, there is always something amazing going on here. If you wanted to see a harvest or to see things growing in the field, the spring is probably a good time. I don't know, Alan, what do you think? When's the best time to visit Lakeland?
I would honestly say September. Weather is great. Harvest for our crop tech students is in full force. Sometimes they're moving the cattle home from pasture. Everything is nice and fresh. The students are still excited to be here. Cynicism has not completely wormed through every faction of their bodies. Or spring. March, April, you're always in Alberta, you're always potentially getting that snowstorm. But right. If you want to see what campus looks like and what we do here when weather is decent, I would strongly recommend September, 3rd week of September, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
okay,
excellent.
Thank you, Alan.
All right.
Thank you, Darla.
Yes, it was a pleasure.
It's a very good, we are having many good notes on this day and tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you. All right, so does anyone else have any other questions that they would want to? If you do happen to think of something after, like I said, feel free to type it in the chat. I did put the link to your free application fee on there. So if you click on that, you're not going to have to pay for the $90 application fee, which is actually a really nice bonus for our students. If any of you are close enough and want to come and check things out on campus, we would love to see you and meet you. Or if you happen to think of questions afterwards, don't hesitate to reach out to Alan or myself, in that we would love to hear from you and be able to answer your questions. All right, thank you so much to my students who spent their Friday here with me. I appreciate you so much for being able to come and talk a little bit about the program. It always sounds so much better when the students are actually hearing it from one another, as opposed to hearing it from the perspective of a program head or an instructor. So I'll hang on here for a couple minutes if anybody has any more questions, and I'll let you go. Have a wonderful weekend.